ค่ะแต่ก่อนที่เราจะเริ่มต้นนะคะกับการสัมมนาในหัวข้อนี้นะคะซึ่งเป็นหัวข้อสุดท้ายจะมีข้อมูลนะคะอัปเดตกับทุกท่านนะคะก่อนว่าเดี๋ยวในช่วงท้ายนะคะช่วงเวลาประมาณ5 โมงค่ะเราจะมีการจับรางวัล Lucky Draw นะคะที่บริเวณฟอยเย่นะคะบริเวณชั้นด้านบนนะคะจะอยู่บริเวณหน้าห้องบอลลูมก็ไปสามารถที่จะไปร่วมกิจกรรมที่ด้านหน้าฟอยเย่ได้นะคะที่ Simon Tech นะคะแล้วก็เราจะมีเนี่ยของรางวัลนะคะเยอะแยะมากมายเลยมีการจับรางวัล Lucky Draws กันด้วยไม่ว่าจะเป็นรางวัลตั๋วเครื่องบินไปกลับนะคะกรุงเทพภูเก็ต2 ที่นั่งนะคะมีแพ็กเกจที่พักนะคะพร้อมอาหารเช้าที่วิรันดารีสอร์ทแอนด์สปาด้วยนะคะแล้วก็รวมถึงเนี่ยแพ็กเกจที่พักที่ Springfield Golf and Spa ด้วยนะคะแต่ว่าตอนนี้นะคะเราก็จะมาเริ่มต้นนะคะกับหัวข้อต่อไปของเรานะคะนั่นก็คือ optimizing storage and hideability for VMware นั่นเองนะคะ That's right
Thank you
โอเคเชิญเลยค่ะ
I actually do not understand what she talked about but I heard golf and I heard spa and I heard vouchers so I think it should be something good
I'll talk about the lucky doors for the
because I love golf I love spa and I'm working very hard in Bangkok this week okay so today we touch base on a lot on the high availability DR and so on so in this session I want to talk about storage management in virtual environment actually storage management across physical and virtual environment now I mentioned before data centers are getting very complex right if we look at what we want to achieve here pool resources blah 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 and so on in terms of storage if you want to build a private storage cloud you cannot afford or you cannot avoid but to embrace the fact that you have to manage it across physical and virtual environment because the push is to have as many virtual servers as possible to save costs at the same time use lesser storage at the same time manage it in a better way so what we give you is one tool that can help you achieve elasticity and agility and standardization in storage management so I mentioned before this morning that in terms of storage management we can help you really optimize it from an average of 30% in the industry to a world-class 60-70% simply by enabling you to repurpose your storage from over-provisioned server to under-provisioned server or to new servers so that you don't run into a situation like a lot of my customers where they have 30% utilization but when they have a new project they're still buying new storages so that's elastic storage you can expand you can shrink on the fly especially when you are running in the Linux environment we have a user in Europe one of the largest airline and hotel reservation network in the world largest so when the volcanoes erupted in Europe when one of the volcanoes erupted and all the planes can't fly because of the ash in the air remember that incident so they got hit very hard why because a lot of flights are getting cancelled people call them out and say I want to change flight I want to book flight I want to book hotel and so on and their system will max out because of so many calls and so many changes their storage is running out of capacity on their server on all the travel agencies and all the airlines and so on or airline desks and so on but to add to the fact that because they are running on Linux their infrastructure is Linux on EMC storage every time they want to resize storage in this case they want to add more storage to the system because they are getting out of this space because of all the new transaction every time they want to do that Linux need downtime their standard process is every time they build a new server, they will provision double the storage needed because they want to avoid downtime. If the server needs 1 tera, they will give the server 2 tera. So they get very low utilization. But in a case like this, when the volcano erupts and people call them up and they run out of this space, they would need 4 hours of downtime. Imagine people are calling up to change flight and they need to down the system for 4 hours to resize the storage. That's what they do with Linux, because Linux cannot expand the volume on the fly, cannot shrink the volume on the fly. So what we fix for them is, in terms of elastic storage, we give them storage foundation. Simple. With storage foundation on Linux, they can expand on the fly, they can shrink on the fly. So much so that they are so confident with the solution that they no longer need to provision double the storage for every project. So their utilization become higher because they don't have to provision double the storage. And when the time comes when they need to resize storage, they can resize it on the fly. When something happens, they have a lot of calls, they expand the volume several times so that the system can take the load. When the episode is over, they archive all the transactions and utilization come down, they will then shrink the volume to take back the disk space for other emergencies in other part of the world. So storage become extremely optimized. This customer is called Amadeus. I don't know whether you heard of it. So Amadeus is a big user of Symantec now, due to all these features. Sort of we make Linux really enterprise in their environment. Well, Linux is somehow enterprise but not there in terms of storage management. So we help Linux to become a really enterprise platform in Amadeus. So, in terms of storage lifecycle, we play a big part in every of this lifecycle, from reducing acquisition costs to choosing any form of storage with our DMP solution. So with Storage Foundation, we sort of commoditize storage. You can choose any storage that you want to choose from, to migrate from. Today you may be running IBM, next day you may want EMC, or next day you may want NetApp. Whichever is the fastest and the cheapest at that point in time, you can take advantage of it. Why? Because you have the agility. We enable you to expand and shrink on the fly. We enable you to move your volumes from old array to new array on the fly. In version 6, it's just a few clicks on a web browser. You can be sitting at home. Someone is installing the new array for you. Once your new server see the new run on the SCSI bus, it's just a few clicks away from you, and you migrated the volume to the new array. Easy. So you become very agile, and once you prove that you can do that, guess what? Storage is a lot cheaper to you. Why is that so? IDC, or rather Gartner, proved that once you prove that you do not have vendor lock-in, storage becomes a lot cheaper. Once you prove that you have vendor lock-in, that means you have been locked in by the storage vendor, you cannot change your brand anymore, storage become 30 to 100% more expensive. Because when the hardware vendor knows that you cannot change your storage because you have been locked in, they will not give you a good price. It is a fact. It's a Gartner research. So by proving that you have the agility, simply will make storage a lot more cheaper to you, because you have the power to negotiate. You can tell the hardware vendor, if you don't give me a better price, I'm going to move, because moving to another brand is so easy for me, right? The other thing that will help you maintain agility is DMP. Some hardware vendor will lock you in with DMP. Once you use their DMP solution, the DMP solution owns the HBA. That pair of HBA cannot be used to attach to other storage brands. So there may be a case where you still have storages capacity in the other branded array, But because you're using a particular brand of dynamic multipathing, you cannot add storage from the other brand to this pair of HPAs, simply because of that. Either you have to buy a new pair of HPAs, or you have to buy the same brand of storage for the HPA. So there is another vendor lock-in. So what is good with our DMP is our dynamic multipathing supports all the major array vendors. You can have one pair of HPA running our DMP, and underneath it you can have HP storage, IBM storage, EMC storage, whatever. And the other good thing about our DMP storage or our DMP solution is that even if you add that layer of virtualization in dynamic multipathing, right? Think of it, dynamic multipathing is also another layer of virtualization where two HBA becomes logically one, right? Once you have that layer of virtualization, again, you may lose the transparency and visibility into what's underneath it. In this case, what's underneath it is a LAN or a group of LAN. In a lot of hardware vendor DMP solution, once you install the DMP layer from them, you lose the performance statistics from the physical layer.